The city was in flames. Fighter jets soared overhead while a massive sea serpent writhed in the ocean below, its agonized roar echoing across the ruins. Suddenly, the creature flinched violently. Inside the sea serpent's stomach, corrosive greenish fluid surged through its inner walls, searing a zombie upon contact. Clinging to the fleshy lining with embedded thorns, Kim Dokja struggled to catch his breath. Dokja muttered to himself that he had lost track of time. He wondered if he had overestimated his capabilities. After all, he reminded himself, he was just an ordinary reader, not the protagonist of this story. His thoughts drifted to his mother, and he hoped she was safe. Of all people, she would be fine, he reassured himself. Yet, a part of him wished this was all just a dream. The previous world hadn't been great, but at least he hadn't been fighting for his life inside the stomach of a giant sea creature. A small figure appeared beside him. It was the Dokkaebi, Byung. With an amused expression, Byung remarked that he had to give Dokja credit. System messages soon followed. Several constellations are impressed by your survival skills. The constellations have gifted you 100 coins. Exhausted and clinging to consciousness, Dokja noted that it was the 4th day of the hidden scenario. Byung admitted he hadn't expected Dokja to use the thorns in such a manner. Then, Dokja lost his grip and collapsed. The sea serpent let out one final groan before falling still, its body lifeless in the water. System messages appeared once more. The hidden scenario has ended. You have received 9,000 coins as a reward. You are the first to successfully hunt a Tier 7 sea monster. You have received 1,000 coins as an achievement reward. With a faint smile of relief, Dokja thought to himself that he was alive. Byung examined the thorn embedded in the stomach wall and commented that stone hogs usually lived along coastlines, feeding on small sea creatures. They pierced and desiccated their prey using special thorns, but seeing one used like this had taken him by surprise. New messages followed. A few constellations smile knowingly. Several constellations now understand your decision. The constellations complain, asking you to state your intentions aloud so they can follow your actions more easily. Byung added that he had known hammer seahorse mucus could offer protection against an ichthyosaur's stomach acid. He moved to help Dokja sit up. Dokja recalled what he had done to survive. Before the thorn took effect, he had covered himself with what remained of the hammer seahorse's mucus. To stave off hunger, he had drunk the bodily fluids of the ichthyosaur as they were funneled through the thorn. System notifications followed. You have absorbed the strength of the ichthyosaur. Your stamina levels have increased. Stamina level 11, stamina level 12. He reflected that everything afterward had been a test of pure willpower. Explaining aloud to Byung, Dokja said that since hammer seahorses were preyed upon by ichthyosaurs, they had evolved to produce a special mucus for protection. Thanks to that, he had survived the stomach acid, though it still hurt immensely. Byung, flustered, pointed out that it was his job to provide that kind of explanation. Dokja quipped that he was just helping out since the Dokkaebi seemed to be struggling. Another system notification appeared. Your pain is partially nullified by your personal skill, the 4th wall. Irritated, Byung muttered that Dokja was insufferable, but admitted that it had been an incredible survival drama. He then addressed the constellations, asking if they had enjoyed the show as well. Dokja rose to his feet and told the Dokkaebi to just open the damned shop. Taking the thorn, he struck the dried stomach wall until it cracked open, revealing the ichthyosaur's nucleus. He retrieved it and showed it to Byung, announcing that he intended to sell it and requesting it be listed on the Dokkaebi auction house. Byung, stunned, asked how Dokja knew so much. Dokja replied that he would only trade the nucleus for an item called Broken Faith. The Dokkaebi wondered aloud whether anyone even had such an item, but Dokja pressed on, saying that he also wanted to buy. He was cut off as Byung interrupted with a gleeful grin and addressed the constellations, announcing that they would return after a short advertisement break. Dokja stood dumbfounded. A system window appeared. Stream contract agreement. 1. Incarnation. Kim Dokja will be contractually obligated to abide by the following rules until he either clears all the scenarios or dies. 2. Incarnation Kim Dokja cannot choose a supporting constellation until he either clears all the scenarios or dies. 3. Incarnation Kim Dokja must only be active on Dokebi Byung's channel. 4. Dokebi Byung and Incarnation Kim Dokja must share all profits while the stream contract is in place. The ratio of profit sharing shall be determined by mutual agreement. Byung admitted that while he hadn't been sure before, watching Dokja complete the hidden scenario had helped him decide. Looking at the detailed contract, Dokja was surprised. It was more formal than he had expected. Byung noted that humans liked contracts, even though he didn't really get the appeal. He suggested they proceed. Dokja considered it. The deal was better than he had anticipated, except for one critical detail. He pointed out that the contract was missing the most important part. Byung, smiling, asked if he meant a seal. He said they could agree verbally since it was a soul-bound contract. Dokja interrupted, furious. He meant the ratio. How dare Byung try to deceive him? Laughing nervously, Byung suggested a 50-50 split, even waiving the channel usage fee. If Dokja received 100 coins, they'd each get 50. Dokja wasn't fooled. He asked if Byung took him for an idiot. The Dokebi stammered, saying that was the industry standard. Dokja thought to himself that typically a constellation's incarnation appeared on a Dokebi's channel, and the constellation shared their gifted coins with the Dokebi. But since he had no supporting constellation, all gifted coins were heavily taxed by the Dokebi instead. Byung had likely already profited handsomely. He declared that he would take all the coins. Byung was outraged. Dokja replied that Byung could survive off the commission. He wasn't giving up a single coin. Panicking, Byung offered 70%. Dokja threatened to move to another channel, mentioning Gildel's rising popularity. Byung, desperate, offered 80%. Dokja was firm. It was all or nothing. The Dokebi groaned in frustration. Dokja pointed out that the ad break was nearly over and the constellations were growing impatient. System windows followed. The constellations complained due to the prolonged advertisement. The constellations sigh and wonder if this is what they've been paying commission for. The constellation Eyes Waiting for Tuesday Night is endlessly baking cookies. Defeated, Byung agreed. He asked if Dokja would now sign the contract. Dokja responded that there was one more condition. Byung, exasperated, asked what else he could possibly want. With a smile, Dokja held out his hand and demanded a signing bonus, 5,000 coins. The scene shifted. Dokja burst from the sea, gasping for air. He clambered ashore, panting heavily. For the first time in 4 days, he was breathing fresh air again. He had hoped it would only take 2 days, but 4 wasn't bad. Not when Junghyuk had taken just as long on his 4th round. He thought to himself that he had also secured a stream contract with a Dokebi. He recalled Byung's devastated expression. Dokja turned to Byung and reminded him about the 5,000 coins. The Dokebi looked stunned. Dokja thought that despite everything, it wasn't a bad start. He had earned a substantial number of coins. He found it amusing. Before all this, he could never get anyone to sign a contract. Now, simply because he had read 3 Ways to Survive the Apocalypse, he had become someone extraordinary. He figured he should find a change of clothes. A system window appeared. Personal skill, the 4th wall, is still active. Looking at the notification, Dokja reflected on the skill. A flashback surfaced in his mind. Back then, he had told Byung that he couldn't access his attribute window due to a system error. Byung had scoffed, insisting the system didn't make errors. System messages had followed. Dokebi Byung attempts to use system interference on you. Personal skill, the 4th wall, activated. Byung had been visibly shaken by the system's rejection of his interference. Now, in the present, Dokja smirked. He hadn't expected the skill to block even a Dokebi's interference. He mused that he would make a great con artist. No one could see his attribute window. A new system message appeared. You have entered the area of the 2nd main scenario. The scenario area is highly contaminated. Suddenly, a thick pink fog swept over him. Hold your breath and quickly get underground. Dokja's expression hardened. It had begun. Strange marks bloomed across his face. System messages flooded in. You have been exposed to the poisonous fog. The constellation Abyssal Black Flame Dragon smiles insidiously. Looking out over the desolate, empty city, Dakja's thoughts hardened. The real game had begun.